you reduke, you may want to serve notice. But I think watch this matchup. I think either player with a win is certainly into the top 8. Finchler could even possibly be in with a loss.
Yeah. So we'll see how things break. Again, tiebreakers are a thing. We'll see what ends up happening here. But Finchler, you can see his board. He's got a Cloudfin Raptor. He's got a Thassa over there. Looks like he scried for the turn. The Cloudfin Raptor is a 1-2. A couple islands and a Mutavault. For Neeraj, he's got himself a Sylvan Caryatid, a couple of lands, and looks like he just got finished casting a Hero's Downfall on a Frostburn Weird.
Good thing to know for Finchler, because he had to battle this round, if Finchler wins this game, he's going to secure for himself the #1 seed in the top 8. So there's something real to play for right now. And we look at the board here. So yeah, running it down, 4 lands in play for Finchler, 3 islands and a Mutavault. He has a Thassa, a Judge's Familiar, and a 1-2 Cloudfin Raptor. He has Shukla down to 12. Shukla's board is 3 lands and a Sylvan Caryatid. He's trying to kill all these creatures and has had some success in doing it. Really, Finchler just has 2 damage per turn going on, but there's a pesky Thassa here, which Neeraj needs to make sure that it doesn't at any point hit him for 5.
Yeah. There's a forest and just passing the turn back, will Shukla. Finchler, time to scry with Thassa. You see the Judge's Familiar, the Cloudfin Raptor out there, a couple of lands. We'll take a draw step here. Have to be worried about, of course, removal at this point.
I would assume when my opponent has this many cards in hand and this much mana up, I mean, he's on the game plan of killing all of Finchler's things. And why Shukla would hold up this mana is if at any point Finchler goes for 5 blue mana symbols, Shukla needs to disrupt that on the spot. Looks like in Alex's hand, another Mutavault. He has a Judge's Familiar and then 1 more. It doesn't look like he's able to stick many threats, but the advantage is that Shukla has no clock. So even though he only is serving 2 damage in the air, maybe swinging a Mutavault someday, that is a 6-turn clock, and Shukla does not have a clock yet. So
Shukla having no clock certainly hurts things. I mean, you know, of course, this deck, and we're going to have a Judge's Familiar here, he has large threats. So he can close the game pretty quickly if he finds a clock. The other thing to keep in mind, too, is that if he doesn't find a clock, well, Finchler gets a scry every turn.
Right, so he will slowly outdraw Shukla. Shukla has to do something. I think ideally Shukla would like to keep killing things and maybe play a Courser of Krufix. Then suddenly Shukla's drawing about as well as Finchler.
Yeah.
For the record, Shukla can't knock the Thassa off the table. It's there for the whole game.
There's Abrupt Decay. Gonna take down the Cloudfin Raptor.
Just have to trade some removal. And post-board, Shukla's Jund deck does have 1 copy of Golgari Charm, and actually a trump he may look for here, and this is something that's pretty interesting in his board. He has 2 copies of Bow of Nylea in his sideboard. Looking at the board right now, that would be a fantastic draw. And I think that's one that would stabilize him almost on the spot.
Yeah.
Remember,
if he can find it.
It taps to it deals damage to a flyer on a tap and can gain life.
Yeah, you can gain life. And the other 2 effects, you know, they of course come into play. You can put counters on stuff and all that good stuff. But really, I mean, just gaining life at this point might be good enough.
Gaining life and shooting down birds sounds great.
Yeah.
Can Shukla pull it out? Remember, we're on game 3. The winner of this will be in tomorrow's Invitational Top 8.
There's a Charm in the grip, and Charm is pretty good. Of course, -1/-1 right now. We'll wipe out those 2 Judge's Familiars. So that's definitely a nice thing to have in the holster. He's just going to pass the turn back yet again. And this is much like last turn where, you know, if you're Finchler, you're a touch skeptical.
Well, I like him passing. So if Finchler decides to fire up both Mutavaults and swing, Shukla will save himself 1 point of damage by waiting. Because then both the Mutavaults will shrink to 1/1s, and the one that gets through will only deal 1 instead of 2. Though I doubt Finchler would fire up Mutavaults into this much mana, and he's not going to.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he did as well. And now here's the Charm. That's going to be -1/-1. It looks like maybe a little rapid hybridization here. Yeah? Oh, excuse me.
It's Triton Tactics. Oh, wow. It's going to... Oh, man, that's a 1 out of Finchler's sideboard. That is some good right now.
No idea where that came from.
They both untap and get +0/+3 and do some stuff if they were blocking, but that doesn't matter.
I know that was one of your tricks in that one of your favorite tricks in that format.
That's great.
Really
I love this card.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Jeez.
If a Triton Tactic creature blocks something, it freezes it.
Well. That's a first and constructed for me, but I like it.
I saw some Triton tactics in the sideboards of some of these all-in blue-white heroic decks
Okay.
that were just going for 100 as triggers as fast as they could. These are like bio shifting and doing stupid hidden strings and just going all sorts of nuts. But yeah, first time I've seen it out of Mono Blue Devotion.
Now here's a clock finally. Now there's really no more messing around for Finchler because last match was any indication. Pelucranos can take over the game against Mono Blue Devotion.
I said the danger here is if Finchler can produce 2 blue mana symbols right now.
Yeah.
This is then Shukla in trouble.
Yeah, I think this is the window where it's open now. You know,
Right.
Frostmourne, we're a Tidebinder Mage. Both those cards are great in this situation. Nightveil Spectre, just something that provides enough devotion so Thassa can actually get into the red zone. I think that's what Finchler needs to find, and he is certainly in the tank over this scry.
I mean, I wonder if it's something like Master of Waves, a card that's right. That would be a card that I would have to tank on pretty hard. Like, it's probably not good enough, but it's one of the best cards in your deck. If Shukla gets to untap with that Pelucranos and a lot of mana, actually, no, I was going to say, oh, he probably is ahead, but I'm not even sure that's true. This is just a very back and forth game. Yeah, I think this could go either way depending on how the players play it out. So we'll see. It looks like he's going to draw that card. We will see what it was. It was close. The card was Nightveil Spectre.
He's going to make this unblockable too, so here comes the damage. It's 7. This game has changed.
This is what Shukla this was the danger of playing Pelucranos. Not only is he going down to 4, but now Finchler has 4 power in the air. And Shukla, his deck is not Reed Dukes. He cannot monsters for like X equals 25. You know, he gets to kill a Cloudfin, like 2 Judges Familiars, and that's where it stops.
The often mocked Judge's Familiar is playing a huge role in this game. 1, devotion. 2, flying in the air. And 3, Shukla has a copy of Mysium Mortars in his hand. And sure, you know, in situations like this, if I just peel land, I can Mortars? I don't think so. No.
Well, there's the danger here, right? That this Thassa is just going to start throwing Mutavaults at Shukla. He has to kill, because of Thassa's presence, like Thassa seems like it is what's getting this game for Finchler, right? Not only does it make his draws better, but it lets him just continue to push damage. Shukla's at 4.
Are you saying that Thassa's a really good card?
I'm going to say that in the mono blue strategy, in standard, Thassa can be very good on certain board states.
You know, no argument here. I'm going to let you have that.
I put a lot of quantifiers on it, you know. I didn't want to overstate the card.
It is having a relatively large impact on things. Finchler going to take a look at the graveyard, sees a Hero's Downfall, that Abrupt Decay, and the G-Charm that was cast earlier. The Scry of Temple of Malice is what Shukla's taking a look at here, but Finchler able to find that Nightveil Spectre to turn on, and a 1 5-point hit changes the game so much.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying before. He really can't afford to let Thassa ever hit him once, because then now he has to start playing around things that he'd rather not play around, right? If he taps out for any sorcery speed removal, Finchler will just tap, activate a Mutavault, make it unblockable, throw in for 2. Now all the Mutavaults are lethal forever. Like, oh, that's really scary. Sources of life gain in Shukla's deck. I assume Courser of Krufix. I assume Scavenging Ooze. Does he have anything else?
That looks like it. 3 Coursers, 2 Oozes. Taking a look at the sideboard here. Bow of Nylea, if they're in his deck, is something that's available. And he could even get a little more creative here if he has a card like Unravel the Aether to get Thassa off the table. That would work. That's a 1-of in his sideboard. But he'd have to have it in his hand right now. There's a Mysium Mortar to take down the Spectre.
Imagine the Finchler will be okay with this.
Yeah, not really much of a choice. And especially, you know, the line of play that you mentioned is the big one now, which he's going to be throwing Mutavaults, as you so eloquently put it, of just fire it up, make it unblockable.
Throw a whole bunch of Mutavaults at
Yeah.
him. How much instant speed removal can Shukla actually have?
He's got 3 Decays, which aren't going to take care of Mutavault, obviously. 2 G-Charms, which also won't do it. He's got 3 copies of Hero's Downfall, 1 of which is in the graveyard. Hiding out on the board, there's another Golgari Charm. You know, again, not going to take care of that problem. So not a ton.
So if I am Finchler here, I would want to activate a Mutavault and make it unblockable and swing it.
I think that's what I would want to do.
Because the only way I'm punished is by Hero's Downfall, and then I throw a bird at it.
Yep. It looks like this Scry here from Thassa is going to go to the bottom, so a mystery card is coming here for Finchler. Again, Our job is so easy. What we would do here. When
Yeah,
we're
well, we
working
get to
with
see
such
both
good
their
information.
hands.
There's a Tidebinder Mage.
Okay, now it got a bunch easier. Not only is Pelukrinos tapped, but Thassa's a 5/5.
Yeah.
Like, this was a good draw in this situation. I'm making bold claims about mono blue all over the place.
That's
right?
why you're here.
Right.
That's why you're here. You're the analysis.
I need to tell you that this Tidebinder Mage was a good draw.
You're the analyst right now.
It
in
is.
the booth.
See, it gives you the 5th point of blue devotion.
Okay, continue.
And the problem right now is that there was a Pelukrinos, and he's a 5/5, and he's a lot bigger than your cards, but Tidebinder Mage conveniently taps it.
Does do that. It does do everything that you just said.
It does do everything he needs to do on
Yeah,
this
it
board
really
state.
does. It really does. That mystery card, it was a good one. Now, Shukla's looking at a copy of Abrupt Decay right now, and I imagine he's trying to figure out the best way to go about using this. Again, Pelukrinos is going to be tapped no matter what.
Right.
So now the question, of course, is what do I Abrupt Decay? And chances are it's actually the Tidebinder Mage.
Well, if he Abrupt Decays the Tidebinder Mage, hold on. Finchler activates a Mutavault, makes it unblockable, and swings for 4. And you're dead. I
guess
think
that's
you
the
have to
issue.
target a Judge's Familiar.
Yeah.
I know, you looked really excited about that. That's right. You know, that's what you want to do with this Abrupt Decay, was kill a 1/1 flyer.
Nah, that's not what I wanted to do.
No,
but I think you might be right.
It's not at all.
And to be fair, I mean, we might have a situation here, right, where you just fire both Mutavaults and just get into the red zone.
You don't have to make one unblockable.
Yeah.
It's not necessary here.
Everybody comes in, Abrupt Decay, let's say a Judge's Familiar, that'll shut off Devotion. You get to put your Caryatid in front of a Mutavault.
You get to go to 1.
You get to go to 1.
I don't know what your out is after that.
Yeah. I'm not sure 1 exists.
Fated Retribution. Uncounterable Fated Retribution.
Ah, you found it. Here's the block.
I mean, you really don't have many. You could play, right, we're in the area where it's like you play Island and then you quicken your Drown in Sorrow.
In an interest that you don't even need the island. You have a Sylvan Caryatid. There.
Don't even need
you
the
have
island.
the blue. In this warped situation that we are working our way
Great.
towards.
Right. I mean, you need 2 damage at instant speed on Finchler's next attack, because there's going to be a bunch of unblockable things and they're all going to be lethal. And so you have to kill all of them.
Now, Shukla's play here is a little bit interesting because he might actually be activating Pelukrinos instead of casting Abrupt Decay. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, actually, okay, you know what? I'd missed that part, but that is better. He's absolutely right. Saves his Abrupt Decay for a better card, really. Does the same effect. Still goes to 1.
So now, of course, again, Thassa's Devotion will be taken off, so that's removed from combat. 3 damage comes across. 2 from the Mutavault, 1 from the Judge's Familiar. Shukla starts his turn at 1. Abrupt Decay, Mithium Mortars, the cards in hand. And, of course, that Pelukrinos will stay tapped because Tidebinder Mage is very good against green cards.
Right.
Llanowar Wastes was the draw.
So colorless land here. He's at 1, can't afford to tap it for a color. He's got to deal with 4 creatures that are all lethal, and that Finchler can make all of them unblockable. It just has to be a sweeper, and because they're Mutavaults, it has to be an instant speed one.
In Shukla, the situation he's in right now is that he needs Finchler to make a very large mistake, and he needs to try to figure out the best way, you know, with body language and casting his spells that he can cause this. He does have Mortars in his hand. He just drew another land in Llanowar Waste to be able to cast it while leaving up Sylvan Caryatid. But again, he needs Finchler to make a huge mistake.
The card he needs doesn't exist, unfortunately. He needs like a Jund Charm.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes in some formats, Jund has had access to cards like that. So it's not unreasonable, but right now in Standard, Jund doesn't get that. Or he'd need to have enough pinpoint removal to kill all of the creatures. So that's, you know, maybe if he had a stack of Doomblades, you know, he'd need enough Doomblades to throw them at everything.
Yeah.
So if he had 3 of them, he doesn't even have enough mana to cast 3. It would have to be like Shock, Doomblade, because then he could play around the Judge's Familiar too. Right? If his hand was just full of those things.
He would need the world here.
Yeah. It's a hard one. So close here at 11, 3, and 1, but it looks like Alex Finchler is going to move to 13 and 3 and 4. Like I said, for his work here, playing the last round, I believe he's going to be rewarded with the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I think that will be the case. Again, I just don't think there's a way for Shukla out of this situation at this point. He's going to try to figure something out. And it looks like he might try to hard cast Elysium Mortars in this situation. And maybe cast an Abrupt Decay. Shukla does have to be a little bit careful here. I imagine that he may have gotten a slow play warning in this situation. Taking a very long time on his turn. But he will cast Elysium Mortars. He does have a Mistcutter Hydra in his hand as well.
It's really hard for him. If Shukla had 10 more life points, I do think he would stabilize this board.
Yeah, I think he could, win this game.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely possible.
It's hard because this game has been about board control, and Shukla finally has it. But it took him too many life points to get there.
Last card's Abrupt Decay. Finchler going to scry. That card's going to go to the bottom. He will draw.
He has to hope the Finchler just doesn't swing a Mutavault.
Yeah, and Finchler just said, "You're one."
He can act.
All this is him hoping for a mistake. That's all Shukla can do is hope for a mistake.
The real dangerous part is, say Finchler got cold feet here and didn't swing any Mutavaults, he could do it next turn. And probably the turn, he probably would have 4 more turns to make that play. So you're hoping for a miracle here.
You're hoping for him to outthink himself, being 1 attack away from top 8 on the line. That's all you can hope for.
Here's 1 Mutavault. It has been fired up into a 2/2. It looks like it's about to be made unblockable. And you can tell Finchler, he's covering all his bases here real slowly with the tap. This seems good. I can't think of a way that this doesn't work. All right, 2 creatures. You have 1 removal spell. You just have 1 card. You can't kill them both.
Yeah.
You're at 1.
Again, this is a situation where for Finchler, he could actually overthink himself in this situation. But here is an attack. I believe the Thassa activation went towards a Mutavault. There's a block. That's a decay, sure.
Sacrifices it, okay.
This is 2 points of damage.
And that's the unblockable one.
And that looks to be a handshake. Finally, Alex Finchler wins this match over Neeraj Shukla. 2-1. Mono Blue Devotion will take down this Jund hybrid. And for Finchler, he moves on to 13-3. And as you mentioned, there's a very real shot at him being the #1 overall seed.